All right, so here's kind of a whole upper body mobility routine that I do. Sometimes I do it on a day like today where I do pretty much all mobility for my entire workout, so to speak. And then there's also, some upper body that I do before a workout, like a 10-minute routine, 5-10 minute routine, days like today, or really you can do this at any time of the day just to kind of work on that mobility, that flexibility, and that strength in your muscles, even when you're not just doing it like for a workout or whatever. So some of the basics: cat cow, great one for your entire back, your core as well. So all you're gonna do is get on all fours, and then imagine what a cat looks like and what a cow would look like, or some call it camel, but cat cow. So all you're gonna do is bring your shoulder blades down and back. So all you're gonna do there is bring them down and back, and then you're just gonna arch your back. So you're gonna bring your stomach towards the ground, your butt kind of backing up. And all you're gonna do, so you're gonna see I'm flat here, and then as I rotate, you want to rotate, through your spine. So you want to adjust through your spine and arch, almost like you're trying to arch one vertebrae at a time all the way down. So you're here, and then you just bring your neck up and look up, arch your back, come to the beginning, and then round through, pushing through your arms, really digging into the floor, the mat, whatever you're in through your tips of your fingers, and then push away. So you're trying to push away from the mat and really push through your shoulder blades, right? So here you're neutral, then you come through, bringing them down and back. So you will try to pinch them together, and then you just reverse it, go all the way up and through, and push up, and you'll have that rounded back to that cat and cow. Where you cow, if you picture a cow, and then the cat, because when a cat gets scared and it kind of goes on all fours, so you're gonna do that, and that's gonna really open up your back there. That you should really feel a stretch between your shoulder blades, especially, and your upper back. And then as you move through the motion, you'll feel it through your entire back there as well. A couple specifically for your upper traps and upper lats and your neck, especially because this is all connected. So everything connected through here, basically right through your neck that comes down into your shoulder, basically over here, up your upper back. So you got your traps and then your lats, and you got upper and then middle and lower lats. So basically, in all of your upper back, if this gets tight, it'll pull through your neck, and kind of vice versa. Your neck is tight, it might pull all the way through. So a really simple one that you can do here. There's a couple variations to it. So what I like to do for this stretch, I don't really know what it's called, but basically I take one hand, right? So let's start with the right side. So I take my arm and bring it behind. So as you can see, I just bring it behind, try to keep my shoulder down and back, pull it down and back as much as possible. Even just this alone, you should probably start to feel a stretch through maybe your tricep, even your shoulder a little bit, your upper back, depending on what you do here. And then you kind of see that I have, my hands on the other side. And then all we're gonna do is first you just kind of pull. So as you see, I'm not trying to, bend. I'm keeping a nice flat back, and we just kind of pull it a little bit to the side. So you're just really getting a stretch all in your upper back here. So all of this should be opening up. When you pull through and pull down and back, you should really get to open up through here. So that's one for your back. And then you want to bring your neck into it and really get into your upper lats here in this area, into your neck. Instead of this, keep your arm there in this position. So again, bring it here, and you're going to work opposite sides. So if your right hand comes behind your back, stand up nice and tall, bring this down. You can do this kneeling, even sitting if you wanted to. Then all you're going to do is reach across right about your ear, right? And all you're going to do is gently, very gently, pull it to the side. So keeping this side, pushing this side down and back will get more of a stretch. And then you just stretch. When you feel a good stretch there, you don't want it too tight. You don't want to be jerking and pulling. You just want a nice, comfortable stretch. You should feel all of this open up, and you just pull a little bit. So you go opposite sides. So right hand behind the back, you're pulling to the left side, and then we flip it, and you go left hand behind the back, and you pull to the right, and you open up that entire left side. And then to add to that one, you could also go at the angle and really pull it from a different angle there. So same thing, right hand behind your back. And all you're gonna do now is imagine it looking down to your armpit. So instead of going straight, you go at the angle, and you'll really feel the stretch through the side and back of your neck and down into your traps and lats there. And all you're gonna do, like I said again, you don't want to pull too hard, and just as if you're looking down to your nipple, almost as if you're trying to smell your armpit, right? Like imagine you're trying to smell your armpit. basically what it looks like, right? That's what you're going to do. And just pull comfortably, return to the start, switch sides. I would do this. I mean, you can do this multiple times a day. I would try to do it, especially if you're trying to loosen things up and strengthen things in those areas. If they're tight, if they're painful or anything like that, do it at least once a day, if not twice a day. You could do it a little bit after waking up, a little bit before bed. If you've been sitting a lot, especially if you've been sitting a lot throughout the day, let's say you sit, 9 to 5, just for an example, you're sitting 9 to 5 after work. If you get a chance when you're done sitting for a little while, because obviously we're even if you're focused on posture, sometimes we tend to lean forward a little bit and that'll put pressure there. So especially after a 9 to 5, do some of this and loosen it up that way as well. Maybe you do it before you get into sitting for a long time, and then you do it after and kind of work it that way again. But those are some really good ones for your upper back, for your neck. Something else you can do is grab a band if you really want to work your upper back. I like doing this. Again, it kind of loosens things up. All you're gonna do is stand, put your arms out in front of you, like just outside of shoulder width, and then what you're gonna do, grab a light band, like this is like I think a 5 pound resistance or something on it, like maybe even 3, and then just pull apart, right? So all you got to do is just pull. So as you see, they're literally called pull aparts, and you can see why. So what you're doing here is keeping your shoulder blades down and back as always here, and then you're pulling apart. You're not trying to like rip it apart. You're not trying to, just a nice controlled manner there, and you're just pulling it apart, and you'll feel a stretch, and you'll feel your upper back again in between your shoulder blades really working. You can do overhand and underhand here. And then what you want to do on the underhand is imagine not just pulling it apart, but imagine you're trying to pull it, almost down. So when you're pulling it apart and pulling it down, you're bringing that band with you as you bring your shoulder blade down and back on some of this external rotation here as you're bringing it out. So kind of keep it flat on the overhand. And then when you go underhand, grab it and get that little bit extra rotation there, and you'll really work your upper back and strengthen it on that. And then something else you can do, you can bring it overhead. Do this in a nice, slow, controlled manner. You don't want to jerk this one, but you're going to work a full rotation here. So do what you did in the first place, overhand, and bring it apart. Just basically stretching enough where it's a tiny little stretch between your shoulder blades when you do this. And then you're going to bring it up overhead and back down behind you to basically get the band basically touching the back, your lower back, your butt. So your palms are now facing forward, and then you bring it back over to the front where your palms are now facing backwards. So you basically start here where your palms are facing towards you, bring it up overhead, they start to face away from you, bring it back behind you, and then forward. And keeping that stretch the entire time. So I'm not like using all my force here to pull the band apart. I'm just pulling it apart enough so that I feel the stretch between my upper back, and then just a nice, slow, controlled manner here. So any of the stretches that I'm showing you, hold them for 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Do them a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. Anything like that with motion with the bands, you can do 10 to 15 for, again, 2 or 3 times each. Those are going to be some really good ones to work your upper back, your back in general, your neck, the traps, the lats, everything that goes around it. Another one is just neck cars. So basically just rotations. Just standing in a controlled manner again. Basically, you're doing this without your hands, kind of like what we just did in the stretch, just doing a full range of motion. So you're basically just looking down to the angle and then rotating around. You don't want to be jerking around. You don't want to go over exaggerate it. You just want a nice natural motion here. And you're basically just looking at all points of a room, so to speak, right? So I'm looking forward, I look down, and then I just look to the side to my armpit, bring it to the side, look up, come around to the right, down, back to the starting point. So basically imagine that you're trying to look at all 4 corners of a room, in a rounded out motion there. And then you obviously would repeat it. And you just do rotations there. So you go left and right. Do that 10 times each side. Again, you can do it 2 or 3 sets all together. Those would be some really good ones that I like to use for upper back, strengthening, mobility, things like that are pretty easy that you can do anywhere. If you don't have a band, like I have them at home as well, but I mean, there's all sorts of bands that you can get if you don't have one. Amazon, they're cheap. You can get a whole set of bands for all different weight resistance for like 15-20 bucks and get like a set of 5 or 6 of them. And then you can use them for other workouts as well, even if you want to. Those are some good ones there for upper back that I use myself personally. So if you go against the wall, stand back a couple feet, shoulder width apart for your feet, and then here, put your arms like just above, basically like just above shoulder height on the wall, and then squat down a little bit and get in a nice little squat motion. And now you're pressing against the wall, so you're pushing off the wall. So imagine that you're really trying to again bring your shoulder blades down and back, and you're gonna really feel a stretch through your lats here. So on the wall, and as you squat down, you want to firmly press into the wall so that it's pulling a stretch all through here. So as you go down, you'll start to feel the stretch. And then when you're in the motion and you're almost like you're gripping the wall, but you're like pulling down on the wall. So imagine if you could grip this wall and pull it down, but your hands are firmly on it. So I'm here and I'm trying to pull down and you'll feel that stretch. So get into a nice little squatted motion, keeping your back nice and flat. And then you could stretch like this, or you can also add some rotation to it and bring your arm through the side. And then you go back up and you come through the side the other way. And you do this 8 to 10 times. And this is really gonna open up your lats. Like even right now, this is something I love to do because it's super tight for me. All in this area right here, and it loosens up so good when you do this. A couple other good ones, child pose, and then you do some walk arounds with it. So child pose, this way. You want to bring your feet together and bring your knees just outside of your hip width. You know, almost like you're making a V with your legs. And then reach out in front of you, bringing your elbows to the floor as you see here. And if you're comfortable enough, you can, if you're up here and this is enough of a stretch, you're good. Otherwise, you can bring your forehead to the ground. And then bring your hips back, and you'll feel a stretch through here to start off with. And imagine, you know, really tighten the floor again with your hands and your arms, you know, really placing them firmly into the ground here. I'm keeping my neck off just so that the microphone's not muffled. But you're gonna do this. Then what you're gonna do is just walk around to each side. So when you're down in this full stretch, here, as far as you can go in a comfortable stretch here, and you're really gonna feel a stretch through the opposite side. Again, all through your side, through your upper back, even maybe your neck a little bit, depending on how tight it is there. So it's, you know, pretty much in line. So your outside arm, so my right leg, right hand are almost pretty much parallel here in a straight line. And just pull and stretch through that opposite side. And then walk back to the other side. Then you'll really feel that stretch on the opposite side. So you got 3 ways there. You got front, side, and side. And then another one, you have to be careful with this one to not pull through. You can sit back if you want, but sit up tall. Keep a nice tall spine, a nice long spine, so your back's nice and flat, nice and tall. And then bring your arms like, you know, like you're making a wing motion behind your neck. If you want to get a little more stretch in your upper back here, you can flap them out, bring them out to the side as much as possible. So trying to bring your elbows from an angle to as outright flat to the side as much as possible. You'll get an extra stretch in your upper back here. So you can do either keep it in front of you or bring it out to the side if you want a little more stretch in your upper back. You're just gonna do a neck flexion here. So you're gonna gently bring your neck and then look back up. So you're gonna bring it down and look up a little bit. You're not jerking your neck here. You're not trying to yank your neck forward. You wanna do this in a gentle motion. You want to basically imagine rounding your neck forward as gently as possible through this entire vertebrae. You wanna do it one at a time. So imagine all the little vertebrae, all the little notches, so to speak, right in your neck. You're moving them one at a time. You're not jerking it. This is a slow, controlled manner here to work on that neck. So this is just to kind of guide you. You're not pulling, you're not yanking your neck forward. This is just more for guidance. And then you just flex it forward, bringing your chin down to your chest. Pause for a second. Bring it back up. And then look up. Only as much as you're comfortable here. Don't overdo it. And you're barely pulling on your neck, like I said. Another one you can do like a chair, couch, bed, platform, a bench, whatever you have. You can even do it on the ground, really. But I just like having a little bit of a, you know, level kind of off the ground platform to use here. You're going to work your thoracic spine again, but you'll stretch all through your upper back as well. Just bring your elbows down behind your neck, bring your hips back, and you're going to have a stretch in your upper back. So your hands are behind your head. And you're really getting a stretch as you bring it down again in your upper back. Keeping your neck as flat as possible here, so you're not looking down, you're not looking up. You want to keep it as flat as possible with your back. And again, bring your arms behind your head. You can clasp them together if you want. We'll do a prayer motion, whatever you want to do here. Just keep them behind your head, and then drive through your elbows and bring it down. So as you push down and push your hips back, your elbows will stay planted firm on whatever you're using for a platform, and you'll feel the stretch again in your upper back.